Morning, Jack. How are you?
Hi everyone, how's it going? William, you well?
I'm good. I'm good. Um, I'm sure you've analysed that game from Saturday night. It's a disappointing performance and result. What have you drawn from that?
Um, yeah, I suppose various different things. I think um, the first and foremost, well, ultimately came back to our own kind of ownership of what's acceptable and what's not acceptable for a performance. And I suppose we would have spoken about backing up a big performance the week before with another one, and unfortunately we didn't do that. So it was bitterly disappointing. I think there was a couple of things there. We scored Blady's try, we go in at half time with a bigger lead, and I think it kind of changes the dynamic a small bit. But yeah, we were a bit flat throughout the game, and it was just disappointing because we had a good week, and again just didn't back up what in how we wanted to.
Yeah, it looked a sort of a weary, tired performance, and the kick on after half time with the lead, it, they actually were more galvanized in those 20 minutes from 40 to 60. Was that a surprise that you didn't turn it? You didn't come out with a bit more maybe purpose after the halftime break.
Yeah, so look, usually we actually come out quite well after the break. I think we any access we try to get into the game, um, through unforced errors or through the Dragons in the way they dictated the pace, and that's probably something we just have to manage going forward because we've kind of set our stall out in terms of the way we want to play, and teams are going to probably try to stop that. In terms of the unforced errors, look, I think we just had too many players on the day who had substandard performances, and kind of when you have that across the board, we were really struggling to kind of get access into the game, and kind of just ended the way it did.
You're talking about the new system, which relies on Connacht playing at high speed, but you need really fast ball as well. If that goes wrong and it's a new system, is that a bigger challenge to fix because you're not as used to it as you would be under a previous way of playing?
No, because I suppose Friendly has, and you all know quite well that he's spoken about being fast. I think that's probably the one that stands out for everyone. But there's the adaptable part as well, and I think if we feel that we're getting pressurized at the breakdown, then we may have to look to play in more of a kicking game or more in the air. I think because we were chasing the game, especially in that second half, we ended up having to try hold on to the ball, and with the way the Dragons kind of the pressure they were putting on at the breakdown through Basham and through Wainwright and a whole host of others, it kind of played into their hands a bit as well. So it's definitely something we've looked at in terms of how to speed up our breakdown ball, and that's not in terms of like our carries. It's kind of what we do off the ball, where players are going to, where we play to next. So after looking back on it, we would hope that, or we will be a lot better in that respect.
Turning to the weekend, the Interpros, they've rolled around fairly quickly. Connacht in this section have two. Obviously, this is the big game in the Aviva, but before that, you've got a trip to Thomond Park to a Munster side that are 3-0 and playing well. What do you think that's going to be like? I mean, you play these guys pretty regularly. You know each other inside out.
Yeah, it usually comes down to an error or a piece of brilliance. If you think about the game last year, Mike Haley, piece of brilliance from him, fielded the high ball and ended up scoring. And we ended up getting a yellow card at a pivotal point, and that was the turning of the game. Then down there in Thomond, we just kind of grinded it out and held them out at the very end. Usually, really, I suppose, one score games, and they come down to them kind of finer things, whether it be discipline and staying in the fight and kind of sticking to what our game plan will be. Because when we played against Munster, it's always a bit of a dogfight, and it's kind of as I said, it's them little one or two pivotal things that are the making or breaking of the game.
And do you think your different style of play this year, I mean, if you can bring that to fruition as you did against the Bulls, particularly the accuracy and in that game, that's going to give you a better chance of coming out of it with a better result.
Yeah, I think so. Like, that's, I suppose, the benchmark that we would hope that was the benchmark defensively and in an attack sense, that was kind of everything from that point on was going to be that or more. The way Munster are playing, they've completely tried to change the way they've played in certain facets of the game as well. So I think it will be a bit different in terms of how they've went previously. I think, look, they're obviously incredibly good in the air, but they've obviously kind of changed in terms of trying to shift the ball into the wider edges and in terms of where their players are going through kick receipts. So it should be really interesting. And look, it's always, as I said, a tight game when you go down there, and it's going to come down to top 2 inches.
And also the fact that Ireland is on the horizon for players, and these games seem to be the key benchmark that are looked at in terms of getting into the wider Ireland squad for the 3 November internationals. Does that increase the pressure on the players who are close to that situation?
I don't think so, to be honest. I think the pressure we've created internally on ourselves over the last couple of weeks, I know people will probably have it in the back of their minds, but after the performance last week, I don't think players are going to be thinking about that at the forefront of their head. It's definitely about, players coming back in. There's obviously going to be lads who are bitterly disappointed not playing, and it's going to be kind of a thing where we see the depth that we have in certain positions. If you don't play well, you're going to be chucked out the following week. So I think maybe in the back of the lads subconsciously, but with the way the result went last week, I think it's vitally important, and we've spoken about it, how vitally important it is for us to turn up and give a performance.
Well, we look forward to it on Saturday evening in Thomond. We'll be down there. Hope you have a good game, Jack, and we'll talk again soon.
I saw you in the car park dissecting the game there after the match the last day. I was going to say well to you, but it looked a bit, I left you to it.
Oh yeah, there's always plenty of dissection going on. All right, hold on. There we go. I'm out. Listen, thank you. Talk to you.
Thanks, William. And that's for life. Yeah,
if I could just hop in with a couple of questions there, Stephen. How are you doing, Jack?
Oh, my commentary, buddy. How are we?
How are you getting on?
All good now. All good.
Good stuff. On weeks like this, where like you've had a disappointing result and you're going into a game against, local neighbour, and they're in serious form as well, is motivation actually easier on weeks like this, or is it still a bit tough to kind of pick yourself up?
I think, look, the motivation thing in Interpros is always going to be there. The thing for us is how we can marry that up into games that aren't there, and that's the key thing for us. I think coming in on Monday, it's just, I suppose, the way rugby is. The week previously, you're coming in on Monday and you're kind of in cloud 9 because you put a really good performance in, and then you finish the game Saturday evening, you're coming in Monday to be going to be a pretty brutal review, but that's just kind of the way life is in a rugby environment, the ups and downs. And I think once we parked the Dragons game, the excitement has been building for this game, which is what we need.
And then just how would you assess your own performances across these opening 3 games?
I would like to think relatively good. Probably again 1 or 2 errors. However, I've been really happy defensively in how I've been going. It's been a major work on for me, and I think it's probably the strongest I've been defensively. So I'm hoping to keep doing that. The nature of the game, it is teams looking for access through the 10 channel. So I've been working with Cully week in week out doing live tackles, and I think that's benefited me on weekends. In terms of overall management of the games, I think the messaging from the coaches here has been probably the clearest it's ever been for me. And instead of it being kind of on the 9s and 10s to actual manage the game, I personally feel that there's 5 or 6 players who manage the game, which takes pressure off of me and kind of enables me to worry about other facets of the game, whether it be attacking the ball or putting players into holes, which is stuff I enjoy doing. Whereas previously, before, it would have been kind of trying to manage zones of the pitch. So I would like to think I've been going well, and there's still areas there that definitely for improvement, and hopefully I can just kind of keep going on that upward trajectory.
Cheers, Jack. Good luck the weekend.
Cheers, all the best.
Hi, Jack. Sinead, Stan here in
Hey,
Virgin Media News. I know you mentioned there about Ireland, but I suppose it is all part of the bigger picture. You know, after not being part again of the summer test squad, how much do you want to get back in there in November? You know, and do you feel a sense of unfinished business as well with Ireland?
Yeah, look, I was obviously there this time. It was this time last year, and I suppose I was in for 2 weeks and gone. I feel I have a lot to offer still. And I think the fact that we've set ourselves up here in terms of how we're playing, there's a lot of things that the Irish team are trying to do in terms of their setup and attack, especially that marry up with what we're trying to do. So I'd like to think that if I'm doing these things here from speaking to Faz, that they'd be able to translate onto the national team. But you know yourself, you have to be playing well and winning games. So just need to be doing that, to be honest. And I'd like to think that if I'm doing that, then I'd definitely be in for a selection.
You mentioned there Andy. So Andy Farrell has been in touch with you. Has he told you the areas that you might need to improve on to get back in the squad?
I got onto him, and to be fair to him, I sent him a text, and he got back to me within, not even lying, saying in a minute. And it wasn't a conversation about where I am or this and that. It was purely on what he wants from his tens in attack, and he made it, to be honest, crystal clear for me. And the thing that gives me confidence is the fact that a lot of the things, as I said, we're trying to do in terms of our 10 and how, you know, attack and square and different things like that. I won't get into the ins and outs, but a lot of them are quite similar to what he wants from his 10. So it gives me confidence in knowing the fact that if I'm doing that here, there's a direct, you know, correlation between the two, whereas maybe previously before as a 10 it played quite laterally, and that was, you know, probably the complete opposite in terms of what he was looking for. So in that respect, it's given me confidence in knowing that I can, you know, translate it on a bigger stage.
Just very quickly, so when you're coming up against either Joey Carberry or could even be Ben Healy, does that sharpen things very much so for you even more?
No, I don't think so. Like it would maybe a thing when I was younger and I was getting to play against the likes of like I say, when I was younger and I was playing against, like say, Johnny and that, I mean, someone kind of who I would have grown up watching. But now I kind of just take it week and week. Like even last week, like it wouldn't be something that I would be personally, obviously I want to go well against them, but it wouldn't be kind of something that's at the forefront of my mind in the build up to the week. It's very, very much about kind of the key principles that I want to kind of complete during the game.
Good luck. Thank you, Jack.
Thanks, Sinead.
Okay, guys, we'll go into embargo for tomorrow morning then.
Hey Jack, Warrior, how's it going?
How are you?
Not too bad. I mean, it's probably a similar answer to the one you just gave about playing against Joey and stuff. But when you see Paul O'Connell at training, does it give lads a lift? It's probably normal for coaches, you know, Ireland coaches to drop in and out here and there. But is there a new, like, did you get a bit of a sense that people were out to impress this morning?
100%. Yeah, there was a bit of an edge, and I think that's probably follows on from the week previous, kind of the performance we given. The thing that struck me was, you know, there was players walking through the corridor, and Paul knew every one of them. It didn't matter if it was a player who was in the academy or a player who was in the senior team. He knew every player by name and answered them or greeted them by name, which I thought was a lovely touch, to be fair. And it just shows the level of detail he goes into his work, which I thought was pretty fascinating to see.
We hear Bundy's back. When we can see him training, and Stephen was saying earlier, Bundy's back it. How, it's an obvious question, but how much does that give you when you're going to a place where you have won twice in the last couple of years?
Yeah, look, he gives us probably the things that you guys see from the sideline would be that energy he gives us in terms of, you know, giving other players energy and they feed it off of that. The thing I suppose you probably don't see is in terms of his ability just to communicate where space is, and that's probably one of the main things that I've learned from playing with him, his ability to kind of read the game and then play to where space is, or just to give you a communication to either play through or stuff like that. So yeah, it'll be massive for us, and then obviously his ball carrying ability and his defensive work will be massive.
How much does that Rainbow Cup win give you? Because that was they were going for a trophy that day. I know you guys were as well, but like you derailed them. They were that was a strong Munster side, and you went and beat them away.
Yeah, look, massively, but I think their game definitely has changed a lot since then. I think the games that we have played, that game and the game previous, I think it was in January, the game we played previously in it, where it was a must-win game again for both of us. It came down to one score, so it gives us confidence, the fact of knowing that we've done it there before, but also that these games are really, really narrow, and it comes down to probably one or two little things that be the thing that you either win or lose. So we've spoken about it, and it's something that's at the forefront of our minds.
Last one for me. How are you assessing the 50-22 and the pictures it's shown? We saw Ben Healy exploiting it for their first try on Sunday, but how do you find it's kind of changing the pictures in front of you as you're looking up, and do you think it's something you can maybe exploit more as the season goes on?
Yeah, I think teams are pretty. You can see that teams are dropping, like they're playing they're playing 2-15s and leaving them quite close to the touchline. So it does leave space straight down the middle of the pitch. You can see obviously the way Munster have set up a few of their kind of scrum plays. They're trying to manipulate that backfield. So I think especially off of them mid scrums, it's pretty difficult to defend Everton. So the teams we've played against have been pretty strong in defending it. It's just kind of, if they are hugging the touchline, there's going to be space somewhere, whether it be down the middle or that. So hopefully I haven't got one yet, so might get a couple at the weekend, please God.
Thanks, Jack.
Cheers.
Jack, how are you doing? Just a quick one on these two matches coming up. Aside from league points, there's also European qualification. The importance of that for Connacht, and obviously the need you've lost a bit of ground in the opening few games. So there's a double edge to these next two matches as well in that context. Yeah,
massively so. I think, there's obviously the top four from each of the shields or whatever it may be called. So there's four gone automatically there if you're not first in the Irish one, and then there's only another four left. So all these games kind of make up for it. I think for us, playing Champions Cup is massive in terms of getting people through the gates, and it's where we want to be playing. And if you're playing in that, you're playing on the bigger stage, need some more players playing for Ireland, etc. So the next 2 weeks, absolutely massive for us. As you said, we've kind of lost ground maybe the last 2 weeks. So I suppose we're going to have to pick up them points that we've dropped somewhere else. So it's two massive games, and especially this week, as Rory has said, we went down there and had a good performance last year. We got points from both games, so definitely getting a win there and then following up the following week.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. Like Thomond Park, when you would have come into the Connacht team, Connacht wouldn't have won there in the professional era. There was a lot of fear around that, but no doubt it's the ground you like playing in. But it's not a ground that Connacht fear anymore going to either, is it?
No, I wouldn't. I don't think we'd fear going anywhere. I think since I've been here, we've won there 3 times, and a lot of the games that we won, they've been built on quite similar principles in terms of energy, work rate, and it's going to come down to 1 or 2 scores. So it's about kind of staying in the fight the full game, and then again, pivotal moments that we don't kind of switch off, either be through discipline or going away from what we've been looking to do. So they're always, as I said, they're always tight games. So it should be another one this weekend.
Best of luck, Jack. Thanks.
Cheers, lads.
Hey, Jack. How's it going?
Kieran Ross, sorry.
You probably touched on this a bit earlier, but the kind of this fast, relentless, adaptable mantra the team has adopted this year, just how does that change the picture for you as an out half, or how does it affect your decision making out on the pitch?
Good question. I suppose in terms of we've been given, and I won't get into them, we've given kind of different key principles in attack that kind of marry up to the 3 of them. I suppose in terms of the relentless part, is obviously, I'll speak more so in an attack sense, in terms of holding on to the ball, but then if we see that there's space in the backfield, that we take it. In terms of playing fast, we can obviously, that can be done whether through our set piece, going to set pieces, or it can be done through quick taps. And I suppose it's about getting the balance. You saw in the second half, Lady got a quick tap, and that's that people would think that's fast. Fast when getting up off the ground. Then for myself, I suppose it's about working early into space. And if I work fast, I suppose it enables the players outside of me and inside of me to set earlier. So that's the way I've been taking it, just for me to work hard into position, and I suppose it makes everyone else's job a lot easier after that.
And based on the conversations you've had with Andy Farrell then, and what he's saying in terms of the things he wants to see from a 10, how would you feel that sits up with the qualities that will be seen as your strengths and the way that you like to play the game? Is there a balance there that you have to try strike?
I think as I said, they're quite similar in terms of, he wants his 10s playing on the axis. He wants them attacking square. And as I said, maybe previously the 10s, we would have set up in a way where, we would have played quite a lot of shape. Whereas now, it's refreshing that you're able to get your hands on the ball, attack the line, and, play players into holes. And then also the thing that I alluded to earlier on, the fact that I personally feel that we've various game managers across the pitch who, take ownership in terms of where we are in the field, and that frees up me then to do various different things then in terms of where I want to go on the pitch. I don't have to be worrying about managing zones and stuff. So I'd like to think that a lot of the things, there's a lot of similarities in what both teams are trying to do.
Just finally for me then, I remember last season Andy Farrell was speaking about you adding a high kind of punt to your kicking game. Where are you with that, or is there anything else that you're kind of looking to add to your skill set?
What he said that I needed to, or that I had to? I don't.
He said it was something you'd kind of been talking about and working on.
Oh yeah, as in I suppose, look at the way with the 50-22 rule. I suppose teams are leaving their two wingers or 15 in the wing deeper. So there is that space there where for contestables, I suppose. It's probably something that you haven't seen from me in the last couple of weeks, and it's probably something that I've been working with Mossy, and it's just about striking the balance and recognizing that if them two players are deep, that there is space there for it. So we might see a few this weekend. If not, maybe the weekend after.
Nice one. Thanks, Jack.
Cheers, Karen.